This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
I guess we'll get going. I'm calling the meeting of the Manhan Rail Trail Committee to order. It's June 24th, 2024 at 7:00 p.m. We'll start with the approval of the May 20th minutes, which I sent with the agenda. Does anybody have any comments or corrections on the minutes? If not, do I have a motion to accept the minutes of the May 20th meeting? Lisa, second. Wendy, all in favor? Okay, all right. Oh, hey there. Why don't we move along, because we do have a guest. Sean, if you want to go ahead and explain what your proposal is.
Sure.
About removing invasives.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. I'm Sean Abbott. I'm the chair of the Biodiversity, Environment, and Ecological Sustainability Committee. And one of our purviews is to move forward with, trying to do invasive removal, both kind of on behalf of the city and also as like an educational and volunteer opportunity for folks so they can kind of learn how to manage invasive species, invasive plants. So we think that we've done a couple of cleanups in the past on the Manhan as part of Easthampton Cleanup Day. We find it to be like a really good place because it's visible. There's a lot of folks that come through and like see what we're doing. We can see like the effect that we're having year over year. And we get a lot of like good feedback. So it's like a really good outreach opportunity. So we wanted to propose sort of like being able to run volunteer groups in order to do invasive removal on kind of a regular basis. And as such, I don't know if I sent Barb a sort of a draft management plan that we have in terms of like what we're planning on doing. Mostly it is manual removal, targeted species. So we'll only be looking at targeted species, and we will stay outside the boundaries that the Conservation Committee would require us to get special permits for, which would be within 100 feet of water. So I'd be happy to go through like the individual plants that we're planning on targeting and removing. But yeah, we just wanted to see what y'all thought about that. We already talked to the DBW about it. They said whatever you guys decide, they'll be happy to go with. That is the long and the short of it.
You said something about like where you would put those swallowwort and vines and poison ivy. Like what's the plan for what you're going to do with them besides just throw them over the fence?
So they will get bagged up and left someplace to dry for a couple of weeks until they bag out. In the invasive removal plan that we've sent forward, there is citations that is sufficient to kill the plants. At that point, we'll probably just like have them carted off to the dump. I've reached out to the DBW as to whether or not they can give us space to do that or not. One thing, they're a little bit unclear on that at this time. So if we can't get facility from them, then that's something that we'll be probably working with volunteers to sort of just like disperse the bags out to everybody else, get them to leave them in a driveway or pavement someplace for a couple of weeks until they dry out, and then just go ahead and throw them out or contribute them to. Probably don't want them in yard waste, even if they have been dried out for a long time, because there's just a little bit of risk of spreading at that point. But ideally, we'll get to work with DPW to have a way to store them while we dry them out and then throw them out.
How many volunteers do you have?
We don't know yet because we haven't had a chance to run any like organized volunteering events. We have 45 people that have signed up for our mailing list. That mailing list is currently an announcement list, and we're planning on using that list to also send out the volunteer organization and ask folks who want to volunteer. From the people who've signed up, a majority of those 45 have indicated interest in volunteering, but we won't know until we run events.
So in the past, we've had work days. I think our last really big one was down on the area down by the Oxbow, the overlook of the Oxbow. The fence line is what really needs work. So if you guys are interested in fence line weed cleanup, that would be great because that's where you get a lot of the vines. But there's also poison ivy. There's all sorts of stuff. So, it would be my hope that if you can find people that are willing to do that, especially cleaning the fence lines. And that is one area that I think is really, can be pretty bad, that section down there. I mean, I'm all in favor of it personally. It's hard to get people to do that work because it's not easy work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to realize that there's poison ivy there and they need to be careful about that.
Yeah, we will be running people through like protective measures, like advising people to bring like PPA or PPG or whatever we call personal protective stuff.
Long sleeves and gloves.
Yeah, basically. We won't probably be tangling. We won't intend to tangle with like poison ivy ourselves too much because poison ivy is a native plant. So for that, we're more about management and kind of working with it there, but would be happy to like target areas that you guys find particularly strong. Like there's a few areas that like we kind of have eyeballed. There's a lot of black swallow over by Williston and by the shed on the thing that we'd really love to just be able to address, and also do a little bit of counter planting with some native plants. The nice thing about when you counter plant is it does a good job at like pushing back the invasives so that they don't come back the next year.
That's fine. Yep.
So how deep along the woods along the edge, like were you thinking of doing this? And are you conscious of sort of what's town property versus, private property?
We would need to basically coordinate our sites with y'all, so we made sure that we stayed on city property on any particular event. Like, the sites end up being relatively small. Like we're not, when we do Easthampton cleanup day, we can do maybe 20 meters or so along the path in a couple of 3 hours because it is like a fairly intensive thing. It depends on how many people we get, obviously. But I think every single time, I think we'd reach out and just coordinate, with Barb, with whoever we need to make sure that like we know where the boundaries are for that particular site, for that particular event.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Do you have a timeline projected, just when you're hoping you might start this?
So we are wanting to sort of get approval from y'all on the plan, and then if we get approval from y'all, then we are going to approve the plan internally in the Bees Committee on our next meeting, which is, I believe, the 16th of July. And then at that point, it'll just be a matter of, picking dates. So we'd like to get going this summer because we'd like to get going, like we have a limited period of time before we can actually really address any invasive plants this season before it gets too cold and the plants start like dying off and disappearing and dropping seed. We would like to get started this summer, basically as soon as is practicable. But, and then how frequent or how often we do this, I think is going to depend a lot on both committee member availability and also like, the amount of support that we get from the folks that are interested in volunteering. Like if we get a lot of support and people are wanting to do it more often, which is possible. People have been, the events that we've had so far, people have been really excited and asked when we're going to do it again. And we've had to say like, well, we're not entirely sure right now. But I hope to be able to do this with some frequency. But for starters, it'll probably be like once a month, once we get approval from everybody.
Okay. Sounds good to me. You can,
Do we need to make a motion or?
sure, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the plans of is it the Bees Committee or the?
Bees.
Okay.
Yep.
To proceed with invasive plant removal along the trail.
Second. Okay. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you can just keep me up to date on what's going on, Sean, and
Will do.
go from there.
I will send you all the information when we pick a site and a date. I'll let you know. Obviously, if any of y'all want to come out and join us, that would be absolutely spectacular, but no worries if not. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Thanks. I'm going to leave now. Bye.
Okay. All right.
Oh, that's
Great.
great.
Hey,
Yeah,
That's really good.
yep.
Yeah, like the kudzu along everywhere. It's just so terrible.
And the swallow
Swallowwort
is
takes down.
Bittersweet.
oh, there's George. Okay, perfect timing.
Which areas are they
talking
Well, they were starting,
seemingly everywhere.
well, I think he was mentioning up here out by the shed. I know there is some. Yep. There's George. Perfect timing.
Hi, George.
All right, so now that George is here, let's jump right into the map project. I don't know who wants to take it. George, who wants to start?
Oh, sure. Hi, everybody. I'm George Cohout. I'm with the Friends of Northampton Trails. And I work with Liz and Wendy and Jake on the map. I can't see everybody in the room in Easthampton, but many of you have been kept up to date on this for quite a while. It's been a two-year project, unfortunately. We agreed on a final design of the map, and then we sent it to 2 printers. I'm getting some funny feedback. I don't know if anybody else is. We sent it to 2 printers.
This off? No, I don't think so.
The one in Chicopee gave us a fairly good price. And if I remember correctly, for 15,000 copies, it's about 19 cents a piece. For 20,000, it's about 18 cents a piece, which is good. So at this, we also sent it to Paradise Copies. Friends of Northampton Trails has a long relationship with them. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, after about 3 weeks, they still hadn't gotten back to us for a quote. So I'm recommending that we move forward with the outfit that did give us a quote. And is the fellow here who helped us with that?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I can jump in, George, if you want. So yeah, there's basically we've come down to some decisions that we got to make of like, do we want to do the 15,000 copies or the 20,000 copies? Like George said, it's a little bit of a better deal for us in the long run to do 20,000, but it's obviously more upfront. And then George had brought up, we had agreed on splitting the cost for the map making itself, but he's not sure about the Friends of NoHo if they'd want to look at getting some other sources to pay for the maps themselves. But you can speak more on that.
Can you tell us what you have the totals?
For 15,000 copies, it's 2,957, and for 20,000, it's 3,737. And he's going to do it on 80-pound gloss paper, which will give it good resistance against weather, but do a satin coating, which will really seal it and make it easy to read. Things like that.
Does anyone know how many copies we got the last time?
I believe we got 60,000.
Huh?
Wow.
That was back in 2015. Part of our discussion in the small subcommittee is because there are a number of new enhancements, additions to the trail in the wings. We didn't want to get so many copies that 3 years from now, if we wanted to revise the map, we would be holding on to a huge inventory.
Also, more and more people now are using smartphones for the maps, so I think it makes sense. But I'd say that doing the 20,000, it's a better deal for us.
Yeah.
Some of the map was showing that things were in progress.
Right, yeah.
Of being built.
Yeah.
So like, you probably wouldn't want that to be
Right.
5-10 years from now
Yeah.
or whatever. So
So it breaks out for 15,000 copies of 2,957.
Yep.
It's 1,478.50 each. For the 3,737. Is that right?
Yes.
It's $1,868.50 each. That's splitting it down the middle.
Do we, in terms of our respective needs, would one community or other desire more versus less?
Yeah, how would we decide this split on how many we get?
I was assuming we were going to split it. George, did you have other thoughts on that?
Yes, that was my assumption too. Back in 2015, when we had the map, we dispersed it to a number of locations, both in Easthampton and in Northampton, to the Chambers of Commerce. Here in Northampton, we gave it to the colleges, and to City Hall. But I believe the best way to do it is to split it in half. And if for some reason, a year from now, a year and a half, if Easthampton runs out of their allotment and Northampton still has quite a bit, we'll work out just a trade of some sort. But I think the best way to start is with a 50-50 split of all the boxes.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I have learned from that is that the boxes should not be dispersed to too many people. They should pretty much be in central locations, because I believe that some of the maps that we have kind of disappeared. So I think we need to be careful about who the boxes of maps go to. Yeah, but
Where were they?
well,
You lost those ones, but where were the other ones stored?
well, sometimes we had people that were filling the map boxes that we gave a box to, and they weren't doing it. Yeah. Oh, well, anyway, they're gone. So
In terms of numbers, and I did say this on an email that I believe just a few of us got, and that is, I'm leaning towards the 20,000, just because I see how they disappear. I load them in the Coleman Road box, and they're just gone.
People like things. So.
They just, people like, I know a lot of people are more comfortable with digital, but still a lot of people that prefer to have a paper copy that spread out. So
Old people.
old people. Well, there's a lot of boomers that are using the trails.
Outsiders come in.
And outsiders. And
I
it
mean, we
gives
worked
them-
really hard to put a map together that has information that you wouldn't just see when you pull it
Right,
up.
yeah.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a very specific
Right.
style map.
Absolutely.
So,
Right.
so I would pull it open and, I've seen the map plenty of times on Google Maps. I know a lot about it, but it's still,
Yeah.
I think everybody will have interest in it.
Absolutely.
I know libraries, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of places that want them. So I would say for the extra little bit of money, let's just do it.
And I used to work there, and the owner of the company sponsored my Eagle Scout project. So he's giving us a good price. So
I agree. I think the 20,000, it makes it easy, just 10 and 10
Yep.
as far as the
Right.
number. I just think it kind of makes sense.
Okay.
What do you think, George?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think we have a very funny little caveat in our board, our rules of the organization, that we can't spend more than $1,000 without a full member vote. So I'm going to have to work around that a little bit and figure that out. But that aside, that's kind of an internal puzzle that I have to work with. I think we should definitely go for the 20,000. And everyone understands that it'll also be available as a PDF on all of our websites. And we'll have all these different pointers to that. So you can download it to your smartphone and then expand it, scroll through it, see the beauty of it in many different ways beyond the printed copy.
George, do you have any idea when you'd be able to meet as a full board? Is that something that doesn't happen very often?
No, we meet once a month, just like you folks. So we'll be meeting the third Wednesday of July. I'm gonna try something via email to see what I can do at this point.
I think we might be able to get this going, and I think it should be going fast as soon as we can. I mean, if payment was needed like before then, we could probably pay it, and then you could just pay us back.
That is a great offer. Is this Barbara, the statewide clerk of the works, the vaunted beat? Is that?
Yes, it
That's
is.
very good. Okay.
Just so we could, so we don't delay payment and we could really get things moving as quickly as possible.
Great. Then that would give me the option of perhaps saying to my board, we'll issue a check of $1,000 this month of July, and then in August we'll issue a check of $800, and that'll keep
Okay.
us within our bylaws.
Okay,
Excellent.
that would work.
Great compromise. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So who's going to place the order?
I can.
You're gonna, okay.
Okay.
And then just give Barbara the bill? I
Yeah,
guess.
he does email invoices, so I'll forward
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Perfect.
So George, to clarify, we'll go ahead and we'll pay the whole thing, and then you, in two separate payments, will pay to the Friends of the Manhan Rail Trail, the two parts,
Great,
correct?
great.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It's
So-
also
and I-
since we won't put an invoice till like August.
Right.
Right.
If we don't get invoiced till August, then
Then it's a
we'll
moot
let you
point.
know and you can
Yeah.
pay them, you know.
Yep.
What is the name of the printing company?
Alias Solutions.
Oh. That sounds scary.
Well, it's a design and marketing too, so it's like create your online alias kind of.
All right.
Great. That's exciting.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Yeah, at our end, we'll need to buy some more of those plastic map holders and mount them. We've lost some over the years.
Yeah.
So that's something that certainly we're going to take care of as soon as we can also, to make sure that they get out there. And I like the idea of keeping them in one place. Hopefully it's not my basement, but somewhere else. And that we all know where we are. And what we could do is maybe once a year, do a quick little inventory.
Yep.
So we know how
Yep.
we're doing.
Yeah, the inventory will be easier to keep track of too if we know where all the boxes are.
Great.
Yeah, some may end up in my basement too. Alexis?
So I know it's a little late to get anything changed to the design, but I was in a bookstore today and PVPC has a hiking trail map that I'm pretty sure was paid for by a grant. And right at the register, they had a pile of the PVPC maps and said $8 a copy.
Wow.
And I was like, huh. And I was wondering if we could maybe put free on it or available for the public or something like that to prevent, entrepreneurial behavior. Just an idea.
Not just on the box.
I think that's probably too late at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Late entry.
Wow.
I was
That's
just like,
good.
I know that they got a
That's
grant
insane.
for that.
$8 for a.
I hope it was pretty.
They're nice
fancy.
maps, yeah.
Wow.
Pays for a map anymore.
Yes. Yikes. All right. I guess we're good
Great.
on that.
Okay.
George.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
George,
Okay.
you guys you got money through the recreational trails grant. Northampton did too.
No, we applied for that grant for this map 2 years ago,
Oh,
the Mass Trails grant, but we were denied at that point.
But you got money,
but-
you're listed on the.
but the city of
the
Northampton
city
got
must have
money.
got something.
for another project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
thank you very much.
Thank
All right,
you.
George, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Well, and
Thanks
I want to thank Liz and Wendy for all the work they put in over the past 2 years, sticking with it. It was great working with them. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Bye-bye.
And thanks, Evan, for joining the team.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we first have a quick update about the Cultural Chaos Bike Valet, which thanks Alexis was a huge success. I don't know, everybody may not know. I'll let you tell about it, Alexis.
Sure. Yeah, I did a little write-up. Let me find it into my email. I believe we had 81 bikes. The racks were full within like an hour of the event starting. I think we got $97 in donations, and was it like about 10 or 15 newsletter signups for both Mass Bike and The Manhan? I don't remember how many. I just saw it this morning.
About a dozen.
About a dozen. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Liz was there. Barb was there. Lisa was there. David was there. I see you. And so yeah, I just wrote some notes myself. Like next year we need more racks. I only brought 6 and we have 22 in the storage unit. So this year we easily needed 10, if not 12. So I would probably try to bring 15 next year and maybe like keep a few in the car in reserve in case we need to spread out more. We need more volunteers to manage the bikes throughout the day and more craft supplies. This probably could go in notes for like, if we have a Google Drive, we could add these notes so we don't forget next year when we're setting up. But we could use more craft supplies and water at the tent because, because you're stuck kind of isolated from the rest of the vendors. The Manhan, we didn't have any swag to give away, but everyone went gaga over the bells. Oh, I mean, the bells were the Manhan. But if you wanted more swag, like stickers or the maps, specifically for the Manhan, we had tons of mass bike stuff that also flew out the door. And we needed more space between the racks, I saw on Facebook that Speed and Sprocket sounded interested in setting up camp next to us next year and be able to provide bike service. And Valley Bike will be in service next year. And I also noticed Pedal People was doing the trash pickup. So we have like a whole little bike section with 4 different vendors behind the City Hall building. The social media announcements and the sandwich boards on the bike path worked really, really well. I literally went to Easthampton Diner the day before and the waitress knew that we were going to do bike valet. So clearly the word was getting out. And I think the biggest win was last year when I was wandering around, all of the fences along the lake were covered, or along the pond were just covered with bikes. And this year there was a lot more open space and people with strollers and mobility devices could get around, and it wasn't such a tripping hazard with everyone's bikes locked to the walkways. But yeah, I think it was a huge success. I had way more fun than I thought it was going to. And I hope the other volunteers did too.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yep. I've mentioned to Pasqualina that we will need more room next year, but if we're going to have other vendors connected with us too, we need to let them know because that does take away some parking. Maybe if Speed and Sprocket or whatever their name is, if they wanted to be in the park, even that, the little grassy area, that could work. But yeah,
That'd be really cute.
it was good. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. It was great.
Did you guys get to see the pictures?
Bicycles.
I know.
Did you guys get to see the pictures that Wendy shared? Like how many bikes there were?
Yep.
Yeah,
That was great.
I was
Thanks,
amazed.
Wendy.
Are there more valet
Thanks, Alexis.
events this summer? I know there's one at Arcadia Folk Festival.
Usually
Yep.
they're-
And the Mill River.
Mill Pond
I
Live.
think
Mill
Mill
Pond.
Pond Live. Sorry, yeah. Mill Pond Live and Arcadia Folk Festival. I think they're the same production company. I think they're like Signature Sounds, and they, I think, rent the racks from Mass Bike, and they pay us for the service, but they also staff it themselves. And
there's also the arts in the park. I don't know if that would ever be worthy of the down at Millside Park, but I don't know. I guess once in a while it works, but it would be hard to commit to a lot of events. But anyway, well, but thanks for suggesting it. It was a great idea.
Yeah, and I think the PR value alone was way up there. I think that was a great thing. So thank you for whoever had that idea.
Okay, all right. All good stuff tonight.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Don't jinx it.
I know. All right. So the next one, of course, is the big good news that we got our Mass Recreational Trails grant. It was just announced on Friday. I did leak the news a little bit, but it was announced on Friday and it's all public now. So the next step that we need to discuss a little bit is we do have a match. And it's $110,000. The city, not us personally. No.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Mayor just left, but as far as I understand, it looks like the commitment from the city through the city fund is $100,000. And they're looking for us to put a little, what do you call it? Skin in the game. Skin in the game. There you go. And I think that for getting that amount of money, I think we can do that. And I did bring some suggestions and some numbers so that everybody can see if they feel comfortable with this. Okay. So it looks like 10,000 is the number that we're looking at.
Okay.
So we have in the city a bike path donation account. We've had it forever. It kind of started when the sinkhole thing happened way back when. The balance of it has dwindled down. It's now at $1,964.31. And it pretty much just sits there. It just kind of sits there. And then we have a money market account at Florence Savings. And then we have the business checking that I pay stuff from all the time. So the balance in our money market account right now, this is the Friends, is $34,680.54.
And that's totally liquid. We can.
Yep, I can.
Okay.
Yep, that's why I volunteered to pay for the maps because we have it. So this is my idea. I think what we should do is out of the bike path donation account, we should use like $1,900 of it because it's really just sitting there and
Not earning any interest.
no, it's just sitting there. I mean, we would end up with $64.31 to just keep the donation account alive in case we ever needed to start donating. This was kind of set up before we had the Friends money. So I say, let's take that $1,900 and then we can make up the balance so it ends up being $8,100 from the Friends, the money market account. I think what we'd have to do is pay the whole thing. And then, because I have to
Then you
have
can
all your
shift it.
signatures and then we would pay the Friends back.
Yep.
Or
Or do you want to use that 1,900 to pay for the
well,
brochures?
I
or-
can easily write our check here and there's no delay.
Okay.
When we do it through this, I'm gonna have to do a purchase order and
Okay,
then everybody has to sign it. It takes a lot
Got
longer.
So the city's looking for us to spend some money before they release the match. Is that?
Well, I think, so I had asked Greg, the DPW superintendent, to give me an update or a 10, but he must have been busy. So I think what will probably happen is for the city council meeting on July 10th, they'll put forward the appropriation for $100,000. That will mean that the public hearing on that will be August 10th. Because there's only one meeting in July and August. So that's my hope. That I think that will probably be what happens. So at that point, we'll have the 100,000 and then whenever we need it, we would just supply their other 10. And then,
Right.
Oh, okay.
and then,
Yep.
then it will be all set.
okay.
And then as far as what's the timeline on what's happening, that's what I really hoped that Greg would be able to update us because I don't know. I don't know.
And there is a limit. There is a deadline. You have to spend the money.
I think by
So
June 30th next year.
Yeah,
So we
so-
have a year. That's why,
we don't want to dawdle.
we don't want a dollar. We want to get this like moving. I was kind of actually hoping that the appropriation could go to the council for tomorrow. Well, ends up being tomorrow night. and then voted in July, but it's still pretty soon.
So how is the hiring of contractors handled? Like, is that through DPW?
Yeah, they'll handle all of that. I mean, they're really gonna handle the whole thing. We won't be involved with that.
And is planning normally involved in this?
The planning department
And
is bare bones right now. I believe it's probably I think it was the DPW who was the main applicant anyway. So, they'll handle the construction people.
So how would they not, you said you have to spend it within a year? Like what happens if it just, the money is not spent within a year?
I think it has to be spent in a year.
Yeah.
The state will take it back.
Yeah,
Take
I
it
mean,
back.
the nonprofit I work at, if they don't spend grant funds by the deadline, the remaining funds are recalled.
Yeah, so.
so how will it be determined, like what specifically will be done? Because obviously there were a lot of things that we talked about and a lot of cracks and holes and whatever identified, but like,
I'd have to look at the actual application to see how it was. Do you
How it was written
remember?
up. Well, there was an assessment, we had an assessment done, and that assessment labeled things by priority. So I would hope that they would, with the amount of money they are getting, start from the top, the most dire situations, and
Go down
then
the
work
list.
their way down the list.
So this means we
Until the money
really,
runs out.
we have
you know.
$410,000.
Right.
Yeah.
right, but I'm just thinking like other factors are like, some things will be sort of more kind of contiguous near each other and other things might be sort of spread out.
Right.
It might be more cost effective to do things that are more proximate. So I'm hoping we have a seat at the table just in terms of discussing like how this is used and that it
Yeah,
matches with what we imagine is going to occur.
yeah,
I don't know about that. That's a great question.
yeah. That's why I wanted Greg, I really was hoping he'd come on here tonight because there are things I just don't know.
Right.
But I think at this point, we can ask to be updated and at least know what the plan is.
Right. Right.
Right, but I mean, we just also need to know, so just because we're a conduit where people will expect information, like if there's detours or parts
Oh,
are going to be
right.
closed off. I mean,
Yeah,
we
oh,
need to
yeah,
be in
yeah.
the loop.
Yeah,
Right.
no, we need to let Greg know that that's definitely the case.
If we can have at least one of us at the table when.
I mean, they
They're
usually
planning
have
things.
like meetings of like contractor, like
Right.
project maintenance meetings.
Well, you'll have a project manager, maybe.
Right.
Greg.
And I would love it not to be me.
No.
Yeah. So I think we'll just have to, see how things fall. I think the priority right now is getting the money, getting that match. And then I know that they got the contract paperwork to sign. And then after that, I'm assuming it will go out to bid. And we'll have to go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Well,
great.
It's exciting.
That
I mean,
is.
really, there was a huge amount of money distributed. I'm
Right.
very impressed.
Right.
A lot of great projects.
Well, so we need a motion to agree to provide the $10,000 to add to the city's match.
Okay. Yes. Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Second it. All in favor? Okay, great. We'll let Greg know. Great.
Not that this is the most important part, but is there going to be like an announcement from the city that this?
There, a press release is being worked on. Wendy and I have to come up with some words like or we can all. Yeah, like a quote. Yeah, I'm assuming it'll probably come out in the next day or so. And then you can.
I know
put it
I've
on
been
the website.
kind of chomping at the bit to get it on Facebook with Barb. So we gotta let the city have their moment.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Let's do
That's
this.
fine.
One of my neighbors like, oops. Okay. I wish they'd do some repairs on that.
It's already been open to the public, so.
Yeah, it is public. It is as of Friday.
Yep, as of
Friday.
Friday's announcements, we were allowed to announce it.
The governor had a big announcement in Hollister.
Yep.
Speaking of maintenance, again, the cracks are just seem to be, I don't know, getting wider, but, also, and I think this has come up before, that broad daylight, the lights are on. And I don't know.
All right, I'll
who-
reach out to Williston about that.
So one trip, they were on the Williston section.
Okay.
And then another trip, they weren't on that section, but they were on.
Was it a day that had?
Oh, really?
It was just day, it was day. So
Yeah, I think it's a, when the
sensors.
light is like mottled, you know, I think it screws up the sensors because I noticed that, but there was a stretch of like 4 lights on in a row that were on in the broad daylight. But then there were others that were not on. So I think it's just the sensors and the sensitivity. And sometimes, like I know on my house, even the humidity affects. So I think just sometimes they're screwy.
I think if you're seeing it on a consistent basis, if anybody's out there and they're seeing, well, the Wilson lights are on every single day,
Yeah.
like at 10 o'clock in the morning. Let me know because
Okay.
I can reach out to Williston. The other ones, I mean, I can reach out to PW.
Yeah.
But if it's just like you happen to notice it once or twice, I think it's gonna be hard to nail down.
I'm not out there every
think probably
day,
the
so-
best thing to do, if next time we have tree work done is to do all the tree limbs around the lights. And
Yeah, we've
that
done
will,
that.
I think, help-
Yeah,
help
yeah.
you.
Those lights are from Williston?
Yes.
The ones-
The ones on
Yeah.
here
The
are,
newest
yeah,
ones,
yeah.
The ones from Union to the Mills, those are the cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody's out there and notices that
I didn't see them on by the mills today.
no. Okay.
We're just,
Humidity
This
is
was
the other
interesting.
thing.
only because we're
maybe-
talking about reporting things, there's a couple of signs near South Street that were painted that need to be cleaned.
Okay, I'll tell Terry.
And we went down by Love Field there by the turn off to go to Arcadia. And that sign, that map,
Oh, that's,
the oil well thing.
Yeah.
The oil derrick, that's what I call
Do we need to
Um,
replace the
them.
the
You
plexi?
can't read, you can't,
Okay.
it's all
Yeah.
either bleached out or it's been, you
Oh.
can't,
I looked at that once before and I couldn't figure out how it comes off or out.
well, I think it's probably tamper-proof
Right, but
fixtures, but you have to be able to
Could you
replace
even
it.
see the screws or like how?
I couldn't, no.
We need Peter.
How about the one down at Coleman Road? How does that one?
That one's not bad.
Must be sun or something.
That's in the shade.
I mean.
Yeah,
the other
because
one-
It's
there's a couple of also some stop signs, no, the truck crossing ones, there are 2 that are facing where the sun, they're facing south. And they've become like, just like you said with the sign there, they're all like, they got lost through them and.
I live off Love Field if you want me to take a picture and like send it to.
That would be
everybody.
great.
I,
Yeah,
we can,
it's pretty
I know
bad.
that I actually have the sheet that Peter got, the plexiglass with Flynn Mar, Holyoke. So I even have the size. And I know, I think we talked about this before and Greg said that they can get it. They can get it and
Okay.
we pay for it.
But
I
the
mean,
question
maybe
is,
they
what
can
is-
figure out how to get it apart. Yeah,
Right,
you
and
could-
hopefully
You
the,
could just snap a picture, that'd be great.
Did that a while back and I have them on my computer.
Oh,
but-
okay.
Right, but, and I took pictures because like in the front and the behind, because I was trying to figure out like,
Well, can we contact the company that, you know, they,
I,
do we have,
was
like,
that North,
the invoice or
Northampton?
They did that whole project.
They came up with a
so was that
design,
installed by Northampton?
Not installed
No.
by them.
but they ordered them, I think.
So who
Check
installed
with
them?
George. and-
yeah,
Because there's also that
'cause
map
they may have had the same problem.
at the fork,
Right,
which has always said Mill River instead of Manhan River on it.
oh,
What's on the fork?
You know, the map at the
Yeah.
fork where the Manhan River is labeled as the Mill River.
On the map.
on the map.
Oh, well, we can't do anything.
No,
with
no, you
that.
can't do anything about that, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if that
Oh,
map
well.
is ever replaced, that should be correct.
Well, hopefully the maps are okay. It's just the stuff that's.
That's my
covering.
question is,
Right.
what does it look like underneath that layer? Has dampness or water gotten in between those layers? And
I mean, I think if it could just be removed and then we can figure out what to do about it, but
Well, I am like, like even our kiosk up here, which is starting to look kind of rough, I think. And no matter what, we've tried everything in the world as far as a backing, and it gets nasty looking. And the maps that we have under there, I mean, they fade so quickly.
Yeah.
The sun is, even though you don't really, you think it should be
Ultraviolet.
shaded enough, it's just,
Well, it's the elements,
them.
the dampness.
yeah.
well, and maybe that also things have to be, if they're UV sensitive, that there's some material.
Like coating or
Oh,
something.
right, yeah, that would be good.
It would be nice to actually, maybe you could check into this. If we could get some maps, like what I was doing over here on the kiosk was just taking a couple of the brochures and putting them up on the map. But if we could actually have a map done, and maybe if they have some kind of a coating that they
Well, yeah,
could
they probably
cook.
do it like on a vinyl type.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we could use two of them actually, because down at Route 5, I mean, it would be nice to not have to use like brochures, right, that fade, and they have to be.
And they have
replaced.
creases in it because they've been
Right,
folded.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could look into
Something like that we could put in the kiosk.
Yeah.
They just put up some really nice ones on the Columbia Trail. West, they did that whole section
Westfield.
through
Oh,
Westfield,
yeah.
so they have some that tell you like the history of
Yep.
whichever
Right.
area. Yeah.
Historical
Yeah,
I
markers.
forget what material they were using. They look very nice, so we could reach
Yeah.
out to them how they.
Yeah, we had looked into historical markers years ago. There's companies that do that.
Yep. Yep.
But they all look great in the beginning. That's the problem. They look great, and then the weather,
Fades and
like our thing up here that we have.
I know.
It's like everything you put up, it just, the sun
They get
just.
out of rock there. Yes.
Well, and then it's also, the sun's one issue and then graffiti is the other. issue.
Right.
Right,
You
Right.
just got to accept the fact that they have a shelf life.
Yeah.
I do.
But in terms of materials, being sensitive to the impact of the sun, but also something that can be cleaned as necessary.
Yep.
If there's graffiti on it.
Right. Yeah. Or easily replaced.
Right.
Okay.
Carve it out of granite.
Speaking of like stone.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Peter's.
So, so I showed it. Cardboard box. Cardboard. It's not really this big. You got this.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
That looks very nice.
Everybody like?
Where did you have it done?
This is from Canal Achievements down in Red Rock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know you guys can't see it. I'm sorry. You have to stop by my office, I guess. Closer.
Post it on Facebook.
A little higher. There you go.
Oh, you can't see it. Sorry.
It looks
Can you
nice.
read it?
It says
Pretty
in
good read, yeah.
recognition of Peter D. Brooks, 1956 to 2023, for his many years of dedication to the maintenance of the Manhan Rail Trail. So.
Oh,
That's great.
Very nice.
Yeah,
very
good
nice.
job.
So is Rich going to?
So we're gonna install it, hopefully it goes well on the rock. And then, what we need to do is have a little, it comes from the bow, yeah, so you can't even see them.
To drill into the rock?
Which rock is it?
We have a rock right across from the mural. Peter's, brother-in-law brought it on our mulching day.
That explains why I didn't.
Yep. So, I was talking to Tom Brown, who was in Peter's church, and he said he thought that in order for Peter's family to all be there, the best time is if we could do it on a Sunday like after church, so that they could come and be there. Be
be great.
convenient. So, we're gonna be away. So, I mean, I think by the middle of the month, we could have this installed. So maybe sometime the end of July.
Yeah.
I'll have to talk to Kathy and see
Right.
what works for her. But I don't know what we really do, just a little unveiling,
Right.
say a few.
If there's any photos or anything that we have, Peter at work on the trail.
Oh, that's all right.
That would be
That's
nice. Yeah.
Well, the one that's on the website, which I keep saying it's been there for 15 years, I should probably replace it, but that
Yeah.
shows him.
If there's something gonna be blown up, it could be on a little.
Well, if we could even have a bunch of different pictures.
Yeah, let me-
Everybody, if they can, who knew Peter, if they can look through, and that's a great idea. We can have a little easel or something.
Yeah.
I think that would be really nice. For you who didn't know Peter, he was wonderful.
Is there anyone else that maybe should speak at it or something? Maybe ask Kathy who she might. You know.
Yeah, or Tom might be able to guide us too. I don't think we need to do much.
Yeah. It's have a drape over it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you mentioned church, they're probably religious, maybe they might want to say prayer or something.
I don't think, I mean, I can ask, but
I mean, they can certainly invite whomever they
Yep,
wish.
they have a very big family.
Yeah.
So, you know, there could, there could be a bunch of people just with their family.
Right.
And we don't want to block the trail with too many.
Well, you know, it would be very short, so. And I do want to make sure the trail, that area is really well weeded and
Yeah.
it looks really good at that point. Yeah.
And maybe we should do the Hawaiian shirt thing too.
Oh, yeah.
Because for
Yeah.
his wake, he requested
Yep.
that everybody ends wear Hawaiian shirts.
So he and I were
Yep.
down on.
So we all did that.
We all
It
did
was
that. It was
great.
fun.
It was really
Yeah.
beautiful to see all the people lined up waiting to get into the.
It was.
Hawaiian shirts.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I hate to like pick a date right now. It'd be nice to have it be nice that day too. At the end of July. I mean, like the 28th. Or even the 21st or 28th.
No, check
But
with
it just-
Kathy first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe we should start
Yeah.
with her.
Yep.
Because we'll be meeting.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just pick our next date while we're talking about it?
I gotta go.
Okay. How does the 22nd look?
Looks good for me.
All
Sure.
right, July 22nd.
Okay.
And yeah, so I won't be around August 4th. Doesn't mean that you can't do it without me. So maybe it's so July
So we got the
28th,
28th or the,
28th,
oh, you should be there, Barb.
or August 11th.
Or 11th.
Okay. Tentative. And maybe around, I don't know, I'd have to see what time
Right.
church gets
We can
out.
ask.
11
Maybe
maybe,
11.
or noon, or 11 would be good because it's before lunch.
Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah, what's that?
Any news about the Southampton side of the trail?
It's construction starting in 2027. I think I saw.
Right. That's what
Yeah,
John said.
so
That's long.
2.5 years from now.
Yeah. Just like with our timelines, it always seems so far in the past, but then all of a sudden it's there. And
And it seemed like those dates kept moving.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
next year. No, it's gonna be
That's
2 more
because they
years.
did. Yeah.
We just have to keep moving.
Yeah,
So we're still there.
exactly.
Took us 10 years before construction started here.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
That's a lot of good
Gotta go.
stuff. Meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Bye, Liz.
All right. Do I have a motion to
Bye-bye.
adjourn?
Bye-bye.
Bye. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Second.
All right.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.